Welcome to the Play in Faith podcast, where we dive into the world of sports through the lens of optimism, inspiration, and faith. We're on a mission to infuse youth sports culture with positivity and joy while building the largest network of college Christian athlete mentors in the world. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoy today's show. Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Coach Chris from the Play in Faith podcast, and I am crazy excited. Tonight, we have a fantastic guest. She is a Indiana high school basketball legend, a University of Tennessee superstar, and even a long WNBA career. For many of you listening locally, you would know her as Shanna Zolman. Now you have a little different name. But how are you doing, Sean? It is nice to have you on the air today. How's everything going?
Fantastic, Chris.
Yes.
Just fantastic. A bit tired today. Kind of want to strangle the kids in the backseat of the car, if I'm honest. But other than that, I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah. So you're all grown up. Your playing career has recently come to a close, and now you are in the next stage of a career, being a
Oh,
super mom, right?
instantly, you're kind. I think I looked back the other day. No, I was talking about injuries. I think I have a cyst in my knee, and I was thinking back,
Oh,
when's the last time I had a cyst in my knee? I was like, man, that's like 15 years ago. I was like, golly, I'm coming up on like year 25 reunion next up.
but you
Where
didn't
does
retire
time
that long
go?
ago, right? I mean, you've only been out of you've been out of basketball less than 10
Yeah,
years,
yeah,
though,
yeah.
right?
I
I
mean,
mean,
I retired in, what was it, 2012, I believe.
okay, so we're
Um,
right up on that stretch
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, but life is good. So you are obviously a native, right here where I record from in Syracuse, Indiana, and now you are out on the left coast up in like the general Seattle area, right?
I am just north of the
Yeah.
city.
So obviously an incredible journey, and I know a lot of people that listen will probably be familiar with you. We've got a lot of local listeners, but we've been incredibly blessed over the first couple of weeks. We're reaching tens and tens of thousands of people all over the world. So we're going to back up just a little bit and start with your storybook high school career. So when you graduated from Wawasee, you were at that point, the leading scorer in the history of girls basketball in the state of Indiana. McDonald's All-American, tons of
Yes,
accolades, like this
the
crazy.
inaugural.
Yeah, like that was like when they first started, like
Yeah.
with the girls as well. So I mean, just this unbelievable career. So we'll start big and broad. Like, what is it like being at that level in a relatively small town? And just what was it like during your playing career? Because I hear stories like lines out the door, how crazy it was. So what was it like playing basketball in Indiana?
Yes, all of that is very true. And as you're playing and you get those accolades, which is never the reason why I played, and you'll hear
Sure.
lots of people say that. But genuinely, like to the core of my being, that is not why I wanted to play. But those things came along as such a blessing, and I think it's such a testament to what hard work can really do. And just saying hard work is such a relative term because there's no
Yes.
gauge. What is hard work? Um, but my body showed it. When I'm in my my late 20s and early 30s, like it genuinely broke down on me because of
A
all
lot
of
of
the hard work
miles.
and the miles on the court.
Yeah, well, see, when you say hard work, I'll get girls all the time that are like, their parents be like, I've been practicing every day, and then that meant they've been shooting free throws or they're shooting around
Oh
with
yeah,
dad.
that
Like,
means nothing.
this is a different level of hard
It
work
is.
that you were putting in. I mean, you were training from, obviously your career. I mean, you were lighting it up as a freshman, but I would imagine you got serious a little younger than that. Like, do you remember at what age you were where you're like, hey, I'm not just here to get some buckets in the YMCA rec league. Like I'm here for real. What point
Yeah,
did it become your training?
I want to say even in elementary, like when
Mhm.
you had Syracuse and Milford and North Webster at that time, like they were all
Sure.
playing. That was our season. But as you get a taste of like where you are skill level wise in comparison to some of the others, you realize I think that's why it's important to find success early as an athlete in whatever sport
Mhm.
or as a musician in whatever musical instrument that you play. Like early success is crucial because that feeds your drive and your desire to improve and you want more. And um for me, early on, and my dad was always a coach, so I didn't realize the genuine benefit it was to have a dad who had keys to the gym. because
Amen.
like I mean, even now, just trying to, if there was a girl or a kid that I would do a little bit of training here and there, and I'd be like, I would love to, like, I genuinely don't know where we can train. Like, do you have
Mm,
an option or an opportunity?
yeah.
And then there's the driving distance and the time. Like, I could literally walk across the football field, go to the gym with my dad, and we could just work out. And that was my life. And that's what I wanted to do. That's what I loved. And
Yeah.
in elementary school, it started to feel that fire. In middle school, it started to get a little bit more serious, notoriety.
Hmm.
And then you got select or AAU at that time where I started to play a little bit more seriously in different leagues. And again, just as your play expands and you get different competition and more competition, you can then see where you level up to more athletes and maybe better athletes and better players. And so as that grew, yeah, I would say definitely it started the seriousness of what I wanted. I knew, like, I've always been a very driven kid, and
Yeah.
my dad was also very instrumental in helping me set goals. And he too,
Hmm.
like, I don't fall far from the tree. Like, my dad is a very, very
Yeah.
driven, very black and white issue, very like, this is right, this is wrong, let's just go after it. Like, if you get hurt, you tie your bootstraps tighter and you white knuckle it and you just keep going. And
Let's
that's
go.
great for athletics. And then that's awful in life after that. So there's been a lot of counseling thereafter. But sport, it's something that, like, I just used every single word that people said of what I couldn't do,
Yeah.
or that I'm too short, or that I'm too slow, or that I'm too white, or that I'm too, you fill in the blank. And that was just exactly what I used to fuel
Love
my
it.
anger and my prowess to every single night. I literally would think, it's not possible that somebody worked harder than me tonight. Like, there's just not
Wow.
possible. And I would literally, that's the way I thought. I would go to bed shooting, laying down on my back and shooting the ball in the air. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was just me. I was the Hoosier video movie,
Yeah,
personified.
and this is relatively young, so I got to imagine that your elementary games were a complete, like, just absolutely bonkers because they were playing in the same league, and, like, look, who knows where my kids will end up, but I've got a younger one who takes it pretty serious, and we've had some elementary games where, like, okay, the second half you're not allowed to score anymore. You can only shoot
Yeah,
if all the
yeah,
other
for
girls
sure.
get a layup, because elementary school ball.
Yeah.
So by what age? I'm just curious. By what age is it, like, really obvious? Like, hey, if this wasn't against IHSAA rules, this girl's starting for our high school. Like, by what grade? Like sixth, seventh grade?
In middle school, for
Yeah,
sure.
I
Yeah.
figure by like
But
sixth, seventh grade, it's like, we got one coming, folks.
yeah, but in that same way, like, you're also still a teenager and you're a
Or
kid that's
barely, not even,
trying,
right? Yeah,
not even, but
yeah, not even.
you're trying to navigate through waters of, how do I fit in with my classmates? How do I
Yeah,
remain friends and be so unhealthily, I will say, driven
sure.
to the point where, um, like, I still want to be able to maintain friendships, and I don't
Hmm.
want the way that I treat you on the court to dictate our friendship in the classroom type thing. So, like,
Sure.
that's a juggle. And then even more, it's still working out. Like, I would go, I mean, I remember my dad, like, they literally would take the keys from me and say, you cannot go for the next 2 weeks. Like, you need time off.
Let your
But
body
I would
heal,
go into the
balance.
gym like before school, and I would work on the smaller things, like the fundamental work of ball handling or free throws or just different things to get a sweat in. And then,
Sure.
in school we had weightlifting class, so I was getting that out of the way. And then after school it was working out with the girls and my own team. And
Yeah,
then after that I would still play with the guys sometimes. And so it literally was, and it wasn't ever, I'm going to go in the gym and get up this many shots. It was, I'm going to go into the gym and make a minimum of 500 shots. I'm not going to just shoot this many free throws and get this much percentage. I'm going to make this many, and I'm going to make this many in a row. And I'm not leaving the gym until I do that. And, like, all of that was
yeah,
developed by myself and my dad, just to not only perfect, your shot, not only perfect ball handling, free throws, but it's more so just the mental side of things. It's, how do you
yeah.
continue to make your yourself mentally strong, because
Mhm.
as a young kid, you're going to get all this hate from both your teammates because they're jealous
Some of
and
the
your
jealousy,
opponent.
sure. Yeah.
And then as you grow, then it's how do you handle a little bit of success? And then now you have expectations. And then as you grow even more as junior, senior, then it's how do you live up to those expectations? How do you involve the rest of your teammates when
Yeah.
you're aiming and you're eyeing to play with the best that the country has to offer, which is a completely different game. It's a completely different level,
Oh,
completely different
sure. I mean,
speed.
it wouldn't even make sense like a 3A public high school at that level. I mean, it's a different
So
sport
yeah,
that you're
like
playing. Yeah.
the biggest transition was honestly going and playing AAU in the summertime, or playing with, you know, Indiana All-Star level, junior All-Stars, and then you're
Yeah.
coming back to your open gyms in the summertime, or and like
Yeah.
your game was just so off because the speed's off. You know, you're
Yeah.
trying to get
Oh,
the shot off quicker, but
yeah.
they haven't gone for your first move, let alone your second move. So it's just like
Yeah.
a very different dynamic. But
I get it. I'm even seeing it now just with like some coaching is where, you know, when I'm coaching like an OPS elite team and then we come back to school and all the kids are wonderful. We'll love them all to death. But it's night and day difference, you know, where one team is, you know, 8 or 10 of the best kids in the northern Indiana. And then we go back to school ball and it's just a different, a much different game speed. You're exactly right.
yeah, for
So,
sure. So, but there's a lot of juggle. There's a lot of um, elements. There's a lot of elements of surprise. There's a lot of things. It's like you have to be confident in your own skin and be confident in who you are and in your ability, yet
sure.
humble enough to know that you're not here alone, that you didn't get
Yeah.
here alone, and that this is so much more fun and you only get this success because of your teammates. And that's why I could trust my dad. And that's why I loved playing for him, because I knew I could trust him in that. And I knew that he could get me to where I needed to be more than I knew where to go or how to get there.
Sure.
But he was harder on me than he was anybody else.
Of
Where,
course.
I didn't want a coach that was just gonna, you know, let me do and say and be whatever I wanted to. That's not gonna
Yeah.
make it better.
I think that's a pretty good lesson for a lot of folks that listen. We have this conversation a lot where a lot of our listeners are coaching their kids because typically their kids tend to be the best player on the team because if you think about it, coaches tend to be people that had some success playing when they were in school.
Sure.
Genetically, it's a good chance their kids are going to be decent. So a lot of people out there are coaching their son or their daughter. So I think that's a cool perspective that you value that you're being pushed, but also that you both recognize that look, I am going to coach you a little harder. You have been blessed with a little bit more from God, and obviously, like you wanted it. I mean, like you're going to the gym before school. Not many kids are showing that level of dedication, especially pre-high school. I mean, that is almost like Kobe documentary level of, you know, maniacal pursuit of greatness.
Yeah.
So, you know, when a kid gives you that kind of green light, I just talked to a coach the other day. His son's playing for Team USA baseball. He's under 13, and that's the kind of relationship they have. Obviously, he's not coaching the other kids on the team quite that intensely.
Right. Right.
So, okay, let's fast forward a little bit. So, freshman year, right out of the jump, right? Most people, man, if you're starting varsity as a freshman, you got a pretty good ball player here. You didn't just start varsity as a freshman, you're dropping 30 plus as a freshman right out of the gate, and then boom, the hoopla starts. So tell me a little bit about like what is like the crowds attending Wawasee basketball games when you're there, because I have heard stories. I did not grow up here. I met a sweet Indiana farm girl in college, and now I live in your old hometown. I did not grow up here, but I have heard tales that it is wild. So I want to get it verified by you. Or are we talking standing room only, just insane crowds?
Yeah.
That's so
Uh,
wild.
I was back. It might have just been about a year ago. I was back to speak to the community, and I was trying to think of like what to share. And I just literally wanted to extend as much gratitude as words could express to give me the gift of my high school experience, because it was genuinely one of a kind. And I've met and played with players from all over the country, from all over the world, and nobody even had a resemblance of the same experience as I. And
Yeah.
I genuinely am thankful and grateful for that, because and it's true. Yeah, all the hoopla is true. Nobody's lying. the
You couldn't
uniqueness.
get a seat for a JV game, according to some of the old folks
Yeah,
in
like
town. They
towards
said
the
you had to
later
get there
years.
before the JV game, or you were not getting in the building.
Yeah,
And we got a pretty good sized field house. Like it's not like
it's
this is
3,500
a
people.
bandbox. Yeah,
Yeah, 3,500 person gym, and it was
which is more
standing
than the
room.
population of our town, just for the
It
record.
is
So
100%.
yeah,
So, yeah, towards the latter 2 years, probably there would be games, especially bigger games that were standing room only, that it was sold out by the JV game. Like my record breaking game, they had to move to a different facility at a Northside gym that held, I think, six
oh
to eight
wow,
thousand
yeah,
people.
yeah. We play some.
Um,
They use it for middle school games now. There, we actually played up there.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
they
yeah,
probably
all
haven't done much since you played in it.
yeah.
It looks the same.
But all of that is, again, none of that is what like you ask for, but
Sure.
it's one of the blessings that you get to reap for whatever reason. Like, I mean, there's successful players that are far better than I ever was, and they never got to experience anything close to that. It's just like the having the tight knit community, the small community, the um, just the excitement that was garnered through every single game. It was just,
Yeah.
and I think too, it's like it's girls.
At least back then, especially like
Back
now, I mean,
then,
yeah, now the ratings are, I mean, with the last NCAA tournament, the girls drew a better number than the guys. But
yeah, and
yes,
that's
we're
that's
talking
how it
like
was
early
for us.
2000s, yeah, that was not the case. I mean, there wasn't
That's
even
how it
TV
was.
contracts and the pro league had just started. And yeah,
Yeah, and let me throw another dynamic out there. I have an older brother who we are like thick as thieves. Love the dude forever. And he was a senior my freshman year.
oh,
He
wow.
barely played. I think they won maybe one game that season.
Ouch.
So you've got a senior group of guys who are being ridiculed by every single student section that they go to play to and
Mhm.
saying, you need your sister. Like you need Zolman. Like you need, and like just
Ouch.
think of like the ego buster, which isn't always a bad thing, but
No, that's a lot to
the
process for an
hard
18-year-old. I mean, to be still loving and proud of you is, it says a lot about his character. That's amazing.
for sure. And then for me, I didn't ever want to go to watch him play anywhere because I would be sitting with our students or standing with our student section, and as soon as you'd hear that, I just sat down. Like I don't, and I was
Yeah,
just like a
and you're 14 years
sheepish.
old at this point too, or 15 years
Yeah,
old. I
no,
mean, you're like a
yeah.
child. Yeah.
So
Oof.
there's a lot to it, and then on top of that, with all of the fans, there was good and there was bad. I will say that. Like it's
Sure.
never to be like, oh, poor girl, like poor you. Like it's not that. It's just like let's just get like a proper perspective of what this was like because
Yeah. Yeah.
not only did you have sold out crowds at the JV game and lines extending down the road, sometimes it was I had 3,500 dads, and I couldn't like I even tried to date my senior year, and it was like no matter where you went, I lived in a fishbowl,
Yeah, a
and
little too
it was
famous.
um but all of that said in love, and all of that said in like a genuine appreciation
Yeah.
that yeah, nobody else has gotten to experience something like that because it's
No.
truly truly
It,
amazing.
the shadow still looms. Like so, my kids knew who you were very young because if you have a decent ball game in front of anyone in about my parents' age bubble who grew up here, your name comes up. To which we always say, whoa, 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 whoa. Right, right. Like
Yeah.
good ball players, but like let's pump the brakes a little bit.
And then,
Let's not talk WNBA right quite yet.
records are always made to be broken,
Oh, I don't know.
So
I'd say
it's
let's play some middle school basketball before we start worrying about any of this stuff. So obviously unbelievable career. When you graduate, you're the leading scorer in the history of Indiana girls basketball. You could go anywhere you want in the country. And obviously you ended up at the University of Tennessee. So tell me a little bit about what the recruiting was like, because your situation is a lot different than a lot of interviews we've done. We've talked with some amazing coaches and athletes that are not quite at that apex of the D1 level. And recruiting is a little bit more of, okay, we got to find a fit. I've got to market myself. That is not your situation. Yours is you need to filter out from pick a place, you are there tomorrow. How did you make that decision? It had to be quite a circus.
Yeah, the first day of official signing was September, and I remember going up on our front porch. 'Cause I was like, after school, I was like, okay, let's see what this is going to be like. And we go, and there's maybe five envelopes. There's like FedExes that you can get. That's up by my front porch, and I was like, oh, I was kind of thinking that there's more. No, 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 sorry. I went to the mailbox. That's what it was. I went to the mailbox first, opened it up, and saw there was like five or so that could fit in there. And then I thought, oh, this is kind of interesting. And then my dad and I both walk up to the house by the front door, and there's a stack of almost 100 of them. And it's all saying the same thing. And there was one school in particular that I even remember they stuck a piece of gum in the FedEx. Like, I will go to your school because you gave me a piece of Wrigley spearmint, but
Oh, I thought
um,
at least it wasn't chewed. I was like, that's a strange marketing. That's a strange marketing
so
plan.
but it was quite a fiasco, and I immediately, like from the get-go, I said, like, I don't want to play this game. I never have been one. I don't like attention. I don't like to be this in the spotlight. I don't want to have a bunch of people blowing smoke up my butt. And I told that to Pat, actually. I was like, are you just blowing smoke up my butt? Like, can I really play at your program, or are you just
So
doing
hold up
give
a
me?
second. So you actually had that thought? I mean, because
Oh
clearly
yeah.
you've never experienced the lick of
Oh
failure.
yeah.
I mean, McDonald's All-American. So you're clearly, even if you have any kind of apprehension, you're been told you're one of the 24 best players in the country. You shattering records, and you questioned if you could play at the
I
University of Tennessee?
I did, and I'll tell you why.
Huh,
Because I played, I looked, and I acted different.
I get it. You were a little smaller, little girl from rural Indiana. You're what, 5'8"?
5'9" with 5'10"
5'9"?
with insult. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But so I understand this thought process of a lot of athletes, even at the top level, right? Like, you're not immune to it, but like, yeah, I could be the top whatever, but here comes Pat Summit,
Wow. Yeah.
and here comes Gino Auriemma, and here comes Sylvia Hatchell from UNC, and here comes whoever else. And I'm thinking, okay, like, I know I can play with everybody, and I know that I'm better than people, but then you're talking now to somebody that's established, somebody that's the best, somebody that's looking for the best. And this is like,
Uh-huh.
Tennessee was my team that I'd idolized growing up because they were
Sure.
always up there at the best. And Tennessee, UConn, you either love them or you hate them. You can't like both. And so
Yeah,
I
at that
love
point it was
Tennessee.
yeah, that's the Yankees and the Red Sox. I
Right.
mean, like that was like the apex of college basketball. It was either there or UConn if you
Yeah.
were at the
So
level you were at, right?
I told UConn no from the get go because I would not see eye to eye with Gino, and I knew that from the get go.
Interesting.
So I just said no. I kept Duke and North Carolina open briefly because I really did enjoy conversations with Coach Hatchell at the time, and she called me the female Larry Bird. I thought that was kind of funny. It's like, I really appreciate that. um,
Just because you're from Indiana, right?
yeah,
I'm sure that's the connection.
for sure. Uh, and then I kept Notre Dame as an option because they were close to home, and I just wanted to make sure, like, do I want to do this further away? Do I want to keep it
Yeah.
because type of fan base that you'd have, you'd be able
It
to
would have been a
start right away.
continuous circus. Yeah, that's my
You'd be able
daughter's
to
like
go do,
obsession every day. It's like Notre
yeah,
Dame, Notre Dame, Notre Dame. And she's 10, so
yeah,
let's
you could
pump the
do
brakes there.
whatever you
Yeah.
wanted to do. But I said, and I
Yeah.
also wanted to prolong it because I'm a huge Notre Dame football fan, so I was like, I could go to
Yeah.
football games. So I did prolong. I
Was Muffin
prolonged.
McGraw there then? She was still there, right?
She was, yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
I prolonged my recruiting because I wanted to go to some Notre Dame football games. But literally, I knew that. I mean, the minute I walked on UT's campus, the minute I went to a football game at UT, the minute that Coach
Yeah.
Summit walked into my house and talked to my parents, and I knew that was my fit. Like she could have been at not even one of the best, but because of how we connect, and I will share this story. Maybe it's a simple transition on into
Yeah, I'm definitely fascinated. I mean,
colleges
she's
because
amazing. So yeah, please.
one of the things that I oftentimes share with people when we went to Tennessee, and she did this for every player, is that everybody has to take a personality profile and
Mhm.
whatever system she used so that she knows how best to motivate to get at,
Sure.
how to really communicate with you. And she pulled myself and my parents aside and she said, well, this is going to be the best or the worst 4 years of Shauna's life because Never before and nobody after me ever had the exact like 100% replica personality profile as Pat did. And so we were literally two of the same peas in a pod, like driven, alpha driven.
Yeah.
Like nobody's going to tell me that I can't. But yet the problem was that she was always right. I was always wrong.
And her job is to tell you that you can't sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, that
So
there the rubber
that
meets the road.
that dynamic was very difficult, but it was also um I mean, I never would have played I genuinely think I wouldn't have played at the next level without her. But there's also so much more that supersedes basketball that I know from a spiritual standpoint. Like the Lord took me to Tennessee for multiple reasons,
Yeah.
but she was one of them because of what my life was like after basketball and how influential she was just as a woman, as a mother figure, as a someone who I knew I could trust to go to when my life completely flipped upside down, and she was there as a discipler for me. And um, so I never questioned that decision, and I know that it had nothing to do with basketball, to be honest with you.
Yeah. What just an amazing blessing. I think anyone who loves coaching, whether you're coaching men or women, just an unbelievable role model. I know I've read several of her books and try to take some of those lessons, even just coaching some of the young girls I get to coach. So tell me a little bit about how that relationship evolved because, I could see the smile, right? Like you're button heads early, but obviously just tremendous love, connection, just a deep bond and friendship that formed. So how did it go from freshman walking on campus, maybe a little bit of headbutting to this just unbelievably deep, close, life-changing relationship?
Yeah, I it all started because of my work ethic. Like if there's one way that you can get in her good graces, that was by working hard. And like I stayed there every single summer, every single day. I did extra everything more than they asked. I had them actually bring on a speed, agility, and quickness coach that we could go to in addition to our Tennessee workouts. A couple of my teammates and I went to her on the off days. We hired on a boxing coach and we did boxing workouts in the off season. We just did a lot of different things, and she could see the work that I was putting in, and then she saw the fruits of that labor. And
Yeah.
not just that, then I would go into her office daily and up to the point of my senior year for sure, but where every single day we were meeting. If we won, we met. If we lost, we met. If she was kicked me out of practice, we met. And it was,
So hold up, if she kicked you out of practice, you said that routinely, like it happened more
oh
than
no,
once.
it happened more than once, yeah, for sure. But I
So
was
what did you do?
also
How do you get kicked out of Pat Summit's practice, Shauna?
one. I think I talked back, which I knew that from my dad not to do. One was it was just my day. So she would have people in the doghouse just because, and I think I don't know how she honestly did it, but she would pick somebody new every single day that they were in the doghouse. Well, I didn't just like bend over and just do whatever she asked me to do. I would fight it, and I would just make her explain like why, like what am I not like? Show me what I'm not doing. Like have me explain like why am I?
Mhm.
She could just get tired.
And her solution
And
was take a hike.
yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
um, but yeah, and I didn't
Sorry, I
always
didn't mean to derail you. I just like
know.
you just said it so casually, like are you just getting tossed out of practice left and right? Like what are you doing,
Oh
Sean?
man, no. And it usually always had to do with defense, if I'm
Yeah,
honest.
that's fair enough. Yeah.
But we had the type of relationship too that it's like she could say something to me, yell at me until she's got that death stare looking at you. And then the very next time she just like smile at you with a wink, knowing like, okay, I know you're just BSing me. So just
She knew how to
move
push you.
on, just next. And then you learn to play the game. You learned like if ever you messed up, you had to say rebound. If ever had a compliment, you said 2 points. So I would just constantly say rebound coach, rebound coach, rebound coach, and just move on. Like,
See, I love it. Like one of the things I've talked about, like outside of this mission that we've launched with Play in Faith, and just some of the coaching I do because I love it. It's more of a ministry. I spent like my last 20 years on stage, talk a lot about communication, leadership. And one of the things we always talk about is you can be extraordinarily demanding without being demeaning. And I think people sometimes struggle with that fine line where they think that being nice to somebody is not pushing them and not getting everything out of them. That certainly was not Pat's way. Obviously, she was pushing you, pushing you, pushing you, but I can just tell from your smile and tone that you knew there was some love there, right? And I think that's a good lesson for coaches, that when you have that kind of relationship, when your players know you love them, they're going to give you the latitude to push them further than maybe they want to be
1000%.
pushed, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we get that order wrong. It's why we launched this mission. I've sat in games and I've watched coaches berating kids 10, 12, 13 years old, and it just doesn't. I've never met anyone who performs better when they feel lousy about themselves. And
Yeah.
I think I get a lot more out of people the way Coach Summit did. So I'm gonna give you one of my favorite quotes of hers, and tell me if you've heard this one before, and if you would agree with your mentor, Coach Summit here. Said, "Winning is fun, sure, but winning is not the point. Wanting to win is the point. Not giving up is the point. Never letting up is the point. Never being satisfied with what you've done is the point."
I
Sound
would
like
agree with
her?
that. And I think that, yeah, she lived that out. But winning is also the point. Let's be real. Like,
I love it. The one thing that kills me, I'll hear all the time where, we're talking about the youth coaches and we're trying to really mentor and shepherd a lot of them. Well, we just care about development. We don't care about winning. We're just here to develop players. And I was like, why would those two things be mutually exclusive?
yeah, that's like, I would agree. I agree with you, and I agree with her quote. But let's not get it twisted. Like, you could give everything that you had, and you could do everything right, and you still lost in that national championship game.
Mhm.
Like, she's not gonna pat you on the back. Like, she's never gonna say like, "Oh, guys," because we were always the most talented. Like, we should
Yeah.
have won. Like, we should have done all these things. That's the problem with most of her teams, is like, you do have the most talent. You should have won. Like, the reason you didn't was probably because of mental errors, lack of. So, I don't
Right.
mean to completely break down this quote in contradiction.
No,
Just
no. Hey,
saying.
look,
But it's just
you
not
can
like
attack your
sugarcoat
mentor here.
everything.
She's got lots of good ones. I do think it's nice to put it in perspective, though. Kind of what she's getting at is that obviously, especially in elite athletics, like, look, we are here to win, but I like this idea that we learn a lot in the striving to win, it being the goal and getting every ounce of what we can out of it. And I just always flinch when people say, winning doesn't matter. It's like, eh, eh. Doing something unethical when you're coaching youth sports to win a game certainly is not the goal. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but man, winning is a perfectly worthwhile goal. And I think as youth coaches, man, the reward is the joy the kids get out of it.
Yeah, for
They
sure.
they want to win more than they want to score points and get stats. They want to win.
Yes.
So
100%.
So a couple last questions. I'm gonna let you off the hot seat here because I always try to keep them to a certain time frame, but I just find this whole thing, I just all your whole career so fascinating. I'm a huge fan of Coach Summit and just a lot of the stuff she's written and done. So obviously 4 wonderful years at Tennessee, and
Yeah.
then at what point? Because obviously you're putting in a crazy amount of work here. Oh man, I see you in the background now with the Tennessee
And I just
jersey right
moved. I'm
behind you. That's
sorry.
I love it. The Tennessee jersey is in the background. So at what
There.
point did you say, did you realize that, look, Tennessee might have been the dream when I was a junior or sophomore in high school, but the dream's bigger now. I'm not ready to put the jersey away. I want to play beyond college even. At what point did you know that you wanted to make this a career and a living?
Oh, I knew that I think when it first came out when I was in sixth grade. Like, that's the only thing that I thought about. Like, that's the
Really
only thing I knew that I was going to be doing. Like, I
nice.
didn't let myself have that other option. I mean, I remember even in college, our AD came up to me and said, "Hey, I have a job opportunity for you that you'd get paid far more than you'll ever make in basketball." And I was like, but I wouldn't be able to I wouldn't be able to rest with myself knowing that I let this dream of mine go by if I did that just for money. Like I don't do anything just for money. Like I know it's necessary evil, but
I
I've
hear you
always said
100%.
like even if playing ball ever got to the point where like I'm doing this just for a paycheck, like I'm done and I want to be done.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, that's always been me and that's what I've been driven for. And here's my youngest.
No, he's a welcome guest on here. So I'm gonna give you a funny quote, and I'm like, so your kid's here, so we'll embarrass him now too. I tell my family, my poor daughter is going to hate that this show exists in like 3 or 4 years because she gets quoted in a lot of these. So I'm taking her to her little OPS Elite practice the other night, and I'm just talking to her. Like I mentioned, we are interviewing you, and I talked about some of the other pro athletes we're interviewing, and she's 10 years old, and she goes, Dad. She goes, I think it'd be really hard for the kids of like a pro athlete. She's
Oh.
like, there'd just be so many expectations and it would be so tough. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure there's little expectations. Keep in mind, my daughter's 10. Without missing a beat, she goes, that's going to be really tough for my kids.
The girl.
So she's already worried about like the 2052 WNBA draft, and she's already very concerned for her future sons and daughters. So so so
Yeah, yeah.
hopefully your kids don't have that same pressure that she's worried about. So
I genuinely do not like whatever sport they want to play. I've lived my life. I've lived
yeah,
my career. And if things keep coming because of it, awesome. I want the things that I'm most concerned for them is that they are men of integrity, that they are
yeah,
men who play no matter what they choose to do, they're going to do it with everything that they've got. And I genuinely
love it.
don't care what it is. And I refuse to impress any of my former desires, accolades, um, or the way that I used to operate onto them because
Yeah,
I've just seen so many people ruin their relationship with their kids or their kid
yeah.
just ruin their kid period because they tried to live their lives through them and try to have success through their children. I'm just like, it's not your life, it's their life and for them to do what they want. And
Oh,
so
well, amen, man. I hope that message resonates with a lot of our folks. And again, it's the whole point behind the mission here is just trying to bring some of that joy, positivity. Sports is the most unbelievable dress rehearsal for life, whether the career ends
yeah,
in
it is.
ninth grade, varsity ball, college, or all the way to the professional ranks. But it does end at some point too. And who are we, right? I think the best quote I'd gotten from one of our ADs, he said, for so many athletes, the sport is who they are, and we kind of forget whose we are.
Right.
So that's just such a fantastic perspective. So as I let you run, man, one last bit of advice. All the little girls out there, especially where I live in Syracuse, Indiana, are dreaming of some of the experiences that you've had and all the young athletes, male and female, across the country. What advice would you have for a middle school, early high school kid who says, I want to do this more than just in high school. I want to take this to college, or maybe I want to make this my life. What's some words of wisdom you can impart to them?
One, I would say do it and don't let anybody tell you that you can't. um I would also say surround yourself with people who are better than you and that will challenge you. Like if you can't always be the best person in the gym. Like you always have to have people who are better than you surrounding you to help you improve and to get to where you want to be.
For you, you had to sometimes go find some guys to get that done.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah,
all
I
guys
love
are
them. I love when my
always.
girls play against
Yeah,
guys. We bring boys into scrimmage against our girls all the time. So
yeah.
love it.
um and other than that, I'll probably have some huge epiphany that would be great in 5 minutes, but
No, I think
I
you're
gotta
wonderful.
figure
I,
it
I
out.
love it, man. The biggest thing that I say the same advice for entrepreneurs when I speak at like business workshops and like, what advice would you have for entrepreneurs? And I'd be start a business. And everyone kind of laughs. And I'm like, no, the biggest thing that holds entrepreneurs back is not being entrepreneurs. Do it, right?
Yeah,
If you
just
want to
do
wait for
it.
everything to be perfect and you're going to spend your whole life sitting on the sidelines, man, like get in there and do it.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much. I know I'm taking a ton of your time. You got family home, you got things to do, but I promise you there are so many young athletes that look up to you, and just even our town still. I mean, you live 3,000 miles away, but I probably hear your name once a week in the basketball circles, even today in Syracuse, Indiana. So Shanna, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and it's just an absolute blessing to have you on the show. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. I enjoyed it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Play in Faith podcast. If you love what you heard, please take a moment to rate our show and share it with your friends and fellow athletes. Together, we can spread the joy and positivity that youth sports deserves. And be sure to visit playinfaith.com for more fantastic resources. We're on a mission to build a vibrant community of Christian athlete mentors that are not just a voice your athlete will listen to, but one they should. Until next time, keep playing in faith.